Today we're going to talk about the temperature control system for Steam Bright and many other truck mounts. This system uses a switchable temperature gauge to activate a solenoid dump valve. This valve can be connected to your waste tank or your freshwater tank depending on your system. First we'll talk about the temperature switch gauge. It is also sometimes referred to as a Murphy's gauge. This brand, however, is not Murphy's. There is what looks like an electric wire. It's not. It's a capillary tube. It's pressurized with nitrogen gas. It is one long container with the inside of the valve, inside of the gauge, and the thermoconductor temperature sensing node. This screws into the T-fitting that's on the plumbing coming out of your heat exchanger. This senses water temperature of the water coming right out of the heater. If this tube cracks, it's a thin brass tube, and loses the pressurized gas inside, and that can happen from vibration, if this is not secured, from metal fatigue, or from bending it too much during installation. The gauge is no longer functional and has to be replaced. It cannot be fixed. It has two elements. One of them you preset with a small Allen wrench. When this element hits the same temperature as this one, there's a pin, a metal pin that connects them, and it becomes a switch. It closes a switch. You take 12 volts hot to one post on this solenoid valve. On the other post, you connect it to this post back here. When this closes, when this temperature reaches the preset temperature, it closes the switch and grounds the wire coming from here. Now you have a continuous pathway from the positive terminal through the solenoid, through the switch gauge, and back to the negative terminal of the battery or the charging system, activating this dump valve, opening it, and letting water dump into the tank that it's connected to. Now I'm going to show you how to wire this up. When you get this, these wires are not part of it. First thing you do is you unplug this. You just lift up. As long as this screw is loose, you just lift it up. This little gasket goes between here and there. Now, to open this, there's a little notch there. You take a really small common screwdriver and you just pry on it like that. You have to take this screw out first. Then you pry on that. This comes out. Now, you can see how this only plugs in one way, like this. There's a standard spade connector, and then there's two that have crimps on them. It'll only go this way. These are the two you want to use. Ignore the standard spade connector. So you connect one wire to here and one wire to here, and do not connect a wire to here. This one on the other side is marked with a ground symbol. This is marked 1 and 2. You use 1 and 2. You can bring this in through here, strip these about 1/4 inch to 5/16 of an inch, stick them in the hole, and tighten the little set screw. Now it goes like that, and what you want to notice is that you can rotate this in any position, okay, to better facilitate where these wires need to go on your particular truck mount. Close this up.
And you used 14 gauge wire.
I used 14 gauge wire. 12 gauge will work, but just barely, and it's easier to use 14 gauge, which is plenty. This screw not only closes this up, it also mounts it to the body of the solenoid valve. I use a slightly larger common, but you can also use a Phillips head screwdriver on this screw and on the set screws to mount the wire. Ta-da!